So I would like to ask you something about children. Do you have life lessons you want to share to youth?
Yes, I really do. And it's through, I guess art is a very good avenue for expression.
Yeah.
And also never to really hold back their feelings, but to channel them in a way where it brings non-hatred of others and non-hatred of themselves. And to do that is to realize that even if they think no one's listening, there will be someone listening. Maybe not immediately, but their voice does matter. And if it's a private situation, it's not that they have to hurt themselves internally and like take it so hard on themselves, because if they might be isolated and in the future they won't be, but their experiences that they are going through might even help someone in the future. But they can somehow find people that actually care and understand they can reach out to get them through some rough times, and never to just feel like they're all alone. Especially in this day and age, it's a lot easier to realize you're not alone, but sometimes people and kids, they're still so isolated, or they sometimes have tunnel vision and they don't see the big picture. The situation is where they can't look at the bigger picture. Like the program that I teach, it's called Picture My World. And before the computer age, we had pen pals in Poland, and they were Catholic students that really worked at young ages, and they had to support their families many times. It was a triangle. So we had that group, and then a group of students from Hadera School, and that was in Israel. So they were under guerrilla warfare all the time. So that was their heightened stress, and they were Hebrew. And our kids, most of them were Baptist, and their problem was that they could not ever have a childlike life either, because they always lived in a drug neighborhood where the adults weren't taking responsibility. So the kids had to actually shelter themselves because of the nightlife, where they would stay home and then they would say their parents would go out to block parties. Not all the parents, some of the parents were fantastic. But the drug situation, even with their environment with school too, that was a danger in their lives. So when there were problems, one of our students actually got shot and killed. When there was a problem, before that they would get angry and they'd think that, oh, they have it worse than anyone else, because you know how the television always shows how great things are going and how you should want this and that, and everyone's supposed to feel fine and free. Because we had pen pals in other countries where kids were going through the same internal elements of anger, stress, doubt, isolation, but for different reasons. So because they saw that, they realized that they're not the only ones, and then they would write to the different schools. It was really wonderful. And even when kids sit in a classroom, they don't know what the person next to them is going through, and all of a sudden they'll have some nastiness back and forth. When they had that in my class, we had two different groups of students, African American and Haitian kids. Kids from Haiti, it was, I think, the first generation over. This was years ago. So the first day of class, they were just yelling at each other back and forth, nasty stuff. So we each had journals. So what I did was I had them, instead of cursing and yelling, whatever they wanted to say to the person, I made them write it down. So they wrote it down, and then I passed the journals, I switched the journals to the person they were arguing with, and then they wrote a response about what they said, how they interpreted that and their feelings, and then they put it back and forth to where they started to get to know each other. And it was a fantastic class. It went really well. So,
I would like to say that they understand that they can say things.
Yes.
And they will interpret such of things differently that they can imagine.
Exactly. And sometimes the foundation of what they're saying or how they're feeling really isn't, they don't see the big picture. So it's reactionary rather than making a valued decision and like an awareness type thing.
Cool.
But they did great fun stuff too. So that was just one of those first days. But